morning. Right, it's Sunday the 17th, I think it is, of November. In the last video I did say that I might do a bit of a video about my books, and so at the moment I am in a room that you don't normally see because we don't normally do much in here, because it is pretty much, I don't know whether you can see that, pretty much wall to wall on the one side of books, and all apart from one shelf, apart from one shelf is all mine, because I do love my books, and I am one of those people that has books and keeps books. I know a lot of people would have books and then they give them away to charity, but I'm one of those people that go to charity shops and goes and get those books. So I do have an awful lot, and I was going to go through and tell you about some of my favourite authors and the books and the type of books that I read. So if that's something that you would like to hear about, then stick around for this video. You will see from the shelves that, like everything else in this house, it has pretty much been taken over by Lego. So I'll have to kind of go author by author, clearing off the shelves in front of the books which have got Lego. I mean, I don't know whether you can see that there. Lego literally all in the front of all of the bookcases. So it's going to take a bit of time to go in and clear it out so you can actually see my books. But that'll be less time than me actually taking the books out completely and showing you series by series. So yeah, join me and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I've done this slightly different to how I was planning. I thought I would start off with my favourite author of all time, and I've decided to get them out because they needed putting back into order anyway, because they were all out of order from when Steve done some shelf reshuffling. So yeah, favourite author ever, Terry Pratchett. I discovered the Discworld series when I was in senior school, probably when I was about 13, 14. There were 3 books that I started reading then, and they were the only 3 books that were at the school library at the time, and that was Lords and Ladies, which is probably my favourite book out of the whole series still. You know, I've read this book so many times. The Witches books, a lot of them are based around Shakespeare plays. So this one, Much Ado About Nothing, is it? The one with the fairies anyway. So Lord and Ladies is all about the elves, and they're not good, they are bad, and they come and try and take over the Discworld, and the witches stop them, basically. Not to want to be a spoiler of the end, but yeah, Lords and Ladies, my favourite Terry Pratchett book. All of the Witches books I absolutely love. You can see there the Witches trilogies, that's Equal Rights, Weird Sisters and Witches Abroad. Equal Rights is just Granny Weatherwax, who's the main witch, and then the other 2 books have all 3 of them in. So I used to get Lords and Ladies, Small Gods, and it wasn't Reaper Man, was it? No, it was Guards. So those 3 books were the only 3 books that I could get out of the library at the time, and I must have read those books countless times. I couldn't tell you how many times I read those books. Literally, I would just read them on repeat, one after the other. And then the Christmas of that year, Mum and Dad bought me this set, so all these paperback ones, the Witches trilogy, all of these they bought me as a set. That was my main Christmas present that year, and literally I would just read that series over and over. So from Interesting Times, I then literally bought each one as they came out. I mean, they always used to come out around about my birthday time, so it was always around October, which worked out quite well because I'd get them as like a birthday present, and yeah, going on. But sorry if you can hear Erin crying. I don't know what's happened upstairs. I think it's probably an argument over dolls or something. So for those that don't know, the Discworld, it's a world, it's flat, a disc, which is carried on the back of 4 elephants that ride on the back of a giant turtle. Colour of Magic is the first book in the series. To be honest, I if I was telling somebody that to get into the series, I probably wouldn't start with the first few because they are a little bit out there. Um, Guards is a good one to start with. That gets you into the Guards series then, which is a great series. I mean, I would always say Lords and Ladies because it's my favourite, but if you want it relating to a bit more contemporary thoughts and structures and city-wise, then maybe one of the newer ones to start with. Things like Going Postal, that's a good one. Night Watch, again, that's the Guards. Maybe even The Fifth Element, Elephant, not Element, Elephant. Oh, and Jingo. Those are all the Guards ones. Feet of Clay as well. That's another one of the Guard ones. They're all great. Carpe Jugulum. That's the last one, which is the main structure of the witches. But yeah, they're all fantastic, and I love them all. And I literally was devastated when he died. But there you go. Another book series that I got into when I was very young, in my teens, was Lord of the Rings. I was given The Hobbit as a birthday present, which I read so quickly. And then I got Lord of the Rings as well. I think, again, that was another Christmas present. The first one, Fellowship of the Ring, read so quickly. The second one, The Two Towers, oh my God, I struggled with that one the first time I read it. Ever since, I've read it so quickly, but the first time it took me ages to get through it. And then The Return of the King, it looks like a huge book, but to be fair, the actual story part of it's not that long. And then the only one that I've never been able to get past even the first few chapters on is The Silmarillion. I don't know why, I just cannot get into it. I've tried a few times and I've struggled every time I've tried. Here is another author. It's again same sort of vein as Lord of the Rings and Terry Pratchett. It's a made-up world, but it's great storytelling. David Eddings, the first two series up there, the Belgariad and the Malorian, is one of those series that I just pick up and read so easily. It's just, books that I want to read and just relax into, and just, it's the sort of books you can just put in your case when you go on holiday and you're going to have a good read whilst you're away. And then there's a few other series. Those ones there, those are kind of related to the Belgariad and the Malorian. And then these are the ones of different characters and different worlds, so to speak. So yeah, so that's the David Eddings books. Now, on a completely different vein of genre are the Jill Sims books. These are hilarious, as you can probably tell from the titles. Relate to them slightly, but yeah, very funny, a little bit sweary. I did lend one to my mum. She read it, she said it was good, but there could have been a little less swearing in it. But yeah, they are hilarious. I do recommend to anybody who unlike my other books, they are based in the real world. It's not about real people, it's made up people, but yeah, it's just kind of a take on life, and it is hilarious. And then next to those are my Harry Potter books. I've read those, all of them. I would say I'd probably read them again, but I'm not exactly pushing to read them again, so to speak. So, but they're decent in their way. Everybody knows Harry Potter, so I'm not going to go into that much detail. And then above that, I've got my George R.R. Martin books. So the Game of Thrones books. So we did watch the series, and when we watched the first series, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. So Steve bought me the books. So I've read them all. But again, I think it's one of those where I don't know whether I'll ever read them again. But again, everybody knows about Game of Thrones. It's been out there for a while. And then there's some Becca Fitzpatrick books. Those are about angels, as you can probably tell from that first one, Fallen Angels. So again, it's kind of based in the real world, but with that supernatural element to it. And then I know a lot of people know about Raymond E. Feist, The Magician. Again, The Magician was another book I was given as a gift when I was young, and I've read that about 2 or 3 times. And then there's all the other books that go along with the series as well there. And then I've got a couple of Terry Brooks, the Shannara series. I've got those as well, which again I've read once, but I haven't read them any more than once. To be fair, I was talking to my neighbour about these the other day. I felt they were very along the same vein as Lord of the Rings, and it kind of felt a little bit, I mean, not wanting to sound funny about them, but a bit like it was copying the Lord of the Rings. So I read them, but I don't know whether I'd be rushing to read them again. Right, now these books are kind of my new obsession. Sarah J. Maas. I had the Throne of Glass series a while ago, and I've read through those so quickly. The world building in those books is amazing. The story is fantastic. The ending breaks you. It's such an amazing series. It is fantastic. And then the next series that she started after, these have kind of all been done in tandem, but I think Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the more popular one, if you have seen stuff about Sarah J. Maas, you've probably heard about ACOTAR, the Court of Thorns and Roses books. It's classed as fairy porn, but it's not. I mean, there's a few maybe heated scenes. I mean, the first book, no. Second book, a couple. Third book, a couple. Silver Flames, yeah, maybe a little bit. But the stories themselves and the character development and the journey that they go on, it is amazing. And then the third series is the Crescent City series, which is there's only 3 at the moment, but she's doing another one. But to be fair, the third one kind of ended on a good ending with that, but I think it's going to be a bit more linked up to the ACOTAR series going forwards, and maybe even possibly tied into the Throne of Glass series. But I mean, again, that one kind of ended on a proper ending for the characters and everything, so I'm not too sure. But I know the next book in the ACOTAR series is currently being worked on, so we shall wait and see. Very exciting. And then the other series that I've started reading, well, I've read both of these, and the third one is coming out next year, so that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Favourite subject, dragons. I mean, what can you say? Had to be read, really. But again, it's another one of those where influenced by social media to start reading it, and with both of these authors, you know, it's one of those where I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning reading to finish a book off because they are so good. And yeah, great plot twist at the end of Iron Flame. Just read it. It is really good. Same goes for these series. It's one of those where I'm trying to push friends to read it, and because they're not into the same sort of books as I am, it's like they won't even look at it, and I'm like, please, just, you know, if you're going to read one, read ACOTAR. But oh my god, the rest of the series is so good. You know, I can't praise them enough. So yeah, I love these series. I mean, I've read the first 2 twice all the way through, and I've just finished reading House of Earth and Blood again, so I've still got the other 2 from the Crescent City to read. But seeing as it was my birthday and I've had a load of new books, I've had to put that on hold. That's the trouble. I love rereading my books, but you know, when you get new stuff, you've got to try and put stuff on hold to read other things. So yeah, but yeah, I'm going to try and attempt to reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame before the third one comes out in February or January, I think it is. Whether that'll happen or not, since we've got Christmas in between and everything, I'm not too sure. We shall see. Right, in the same shelving unit as the majority of my Sarah J. Maas books is another series I've recently read, which is the Mortal Instruments City of Bones series. I read that this year. That's really good. Again, it's based in the real world, but it's all the supernatural elements like vampires and werewolves and all that sort of stuff in the real world. And then at the top, I've got all my dragon books. So Wings of Fire and the Aragon series is. And then there's also the Septimus Heap series as well. Again, that's all magicians, dragons, You might have noticed there's a bit of a theme with my books. It's all very supernatural. I mean, going back to the Sarah J Maas books, they're all fairies and, you know, all that sort of thing in those. Again, those are in a completely, you know, new, different world, so that's a lot of world building in those. I've also got the Stephanie Meyer books, so I've got The Host, and then I think they're down here. I've got my Twilight books. Again, they're spread out. Some are here, some are somewhere else. A bit all over the place. And then I've got tons of Buffy books. Our wedding video. Loads of CDs in here as well. A few of Steve's books. And then this is the dirty books, shall I say. The naughty books in this one. Ones the children will never get to read. And then I've got the Vampire Diary ones. They're really good as well. I've read those a couple of times. One of them, I mean, these are kind of shove it in, again, in my case, when we go on holiday books. They are just easy reading, enjoy reading them. And then at the top, I've got, these ones are kind of different take on Disney stories. They're called the Disney Twisted stories. So it's like Whole New World. It's like, you know, what would have happened if Aladdin didn't actually find the lamp and things like that. So, you know, it's a very different take on the Disney stories, and they are really good. Like Almost There, that was one I've read recently. So that's the Tiana one. So it's like, what if Tiana took Dr. Facilier's offer and things like that. So, you know, it's kind of giving the Disney stories a different end to what they could have been. But yeah, so that's pretty much, I say all of them, but there are others as well. Yeah, I got Fallen books. Those are obviously about fallen angels. A couple of different ones like that. There's a load of books I've got that I haven't read. These ones down here are the ones I've had for my birthday. So yeah. Oh, and then down there. Oh no, that's literally just Steve's shelf. That's the only shelf he's got. And then my cookery books are right down the bottom there. So yeah. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Apologies if you haven't.
Hello.
But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you what I read.
Hello.
And I mean, the reason I tend to read fantasy is, you know, life can be so awful sometimes, and things that go on in this world, it's just nice to escape to somewhere else. So, do you know what? I do regularly. I read a lot. And I do read the same series over and over and over. I like the comfort of it, especially with my Terry Pratchett books, and like I said, my David Eddings books. You know, series that I've read over and over. Tolkien as well. I've read it so many times I've lost count. You know, and there's some of the others that I've read a few times. Some I've got them, I've had them. I'm probably never going to read them again, but I really don't want to get rid of them because they're books and they're mine, and I'm going to keep them. So that's what I tend to do in my downtime when I'm not, well, I do it when I'm looking after the kids. They are my kids, but I have to do that. But, you know, they do know that if I'm reading my book, to try and keep it down a little bit. But I am one of those people where I'll be reading till stupid o'clock in the morning and then have to get up for work the next day, and I'll be like super tired. But it's just what I do. Always done it from when I was a kid. I would be up until stupid o'clock in the morning reading my book, and then I'd have to get up for school the next day with a crick in my neck because I used to read sitting up in bed. So yeah, it's what I do. It's what I've always done, and it's what I enjoy. So I hope you've all enjoyed seeing my book collection. I would recommend anybody to get any of those books because they are all fantastic. If you are close enough to me and a good enough friend, I may let you borrow a book, but it better come back to me in exactly the same condition that it left. Otherwise you'll be in an awful lot of trouble. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, and see you all again soon. Bye.